Okay, alright. So, what is B-roll? B-roll is essentially supplementary and alternative footage that can be used to go alongside the main footage. Videos can cut away from the main story to show scenery or action. Establishing shots can be used to show the context of the story and add a little more depth to it. B-roll is often used by it's often made by smaller secondary unit crews. Since there is no need for sound, smaller cameras are often used for, ease of setup and because they're easier to transport around and that. In a docudrama project, B-roll may refer to dramatic treatment scenes staged by the producer and performed by actors to be used as cutaway shots. B-roll footage is often added or drawn from the stock footage library, and that's often shared between many producers and many directors. Okay, codes and conventions for documentary. The most common code and convention is a voiceover. The voiceover will usually be authoritative in some way, encouraging the audience to think that they either have some kind of specialist knowledge or, as in the case in people such as Michael Moore, the right opinion is the one that they should pay attention to. So often the voiceover is put over every other sound, and when the voiceover comes on, often sounds are muted to make way for the voice. Right, real footage of events. The documentary is usually a non-fiction, so they'll include the actual footage of the event if they have some, but sometimes they have to recreate the footage. This is easy to do if it's a nature documentary, because often you'll have a lot of area to improve on the footage, and there'll often be a lot of cameras and a lot of stock footage left, so that you can get a lot of footage on it. Another convention is that experts are often interviewed to give their opinion. So if it's a biased documentary, they'll often include testimony from an expert on one side, and then they might, sort of explain the arguments from the other side and not include an expert witness on there. The use of titles and text is another convention. This is very important for a documentary because, for example, if you were doing a documentary on World War II, when you were showing clips of the actual footage from World War II, you'd have to put an annotation on the screen as to where it was, for example, France, Normandy, 1943. And sound is another big component of a documentary. So music will often be added in on top of it, so that it'll set the tone for the scene. Sound effects are also often used, however that's more Foley for specific scenes.